Hello, my friends. Jerry Rosa here in the Rosa Stringworks Workshop. Let's see. Might as well go ahead and say it's Thursday, February 22nd. And I thought I'd start off with another one of my tunes that I wrote. I've done this before. Everything's backwards in this camera. I'm not kidding you. It feels like I need to move that way, but I have to move this way in order for it to get my hand in here. This is in C, F, and G. So it's in the key of C, and there is a 2 chord, which would make it a D in this case. So this is the one that took me 30 years to write. From where I stand, I can see all the lights of the city. For one man to love one woman so much, it's a pity. From where I stand, I can see the cantina she goes to, where she's not supposed to, but goes anyway. From where I stand, I can hear the music and laughter. Camilla tells me that's what her young heart is after. But I see it differently. I see her there with a man. Camilla is lying. I see it from where I stand. From where I stand, I can see the smiles on their faces. The music plays on as I watch their tender embraces. From where I stand, I can see her dress as it's swaying, and it seems to be waving goodbye to me. From where I stand, I can hear the music and laughter. Camilla tells me that's what her young heart is after. But I see it differently. I see her there with a man. Camilla is lying. I see it from where I stand. Camilla is lying. I see it from where I stand. C, F, and G. Now, I wanted to point out on this because, I've told you that there's just one chord shape that you have to learn on the mandolin. And, of course, it's a tough one. It's this, what I call the Bill Monroe chord. And it's like that. But the F looks different because I do it like this. So I do it in an angle like that. And you think, well, then it's not just one chord. It's a different chord. But technically, it's still the same chord. See, this is your G. And if I slid it up here, there's the F. I just don't have a place for this finger. So rather than do it that way, I just do it this way. So it's still the same chord. It's just that you do have to learn that one little caveat there for the F. It's never simple, You know how that is. It's never just as easy as it sounds. But anyway, it is still the same chord. Got a good bit of info for you this morning. I think you'll enjoy. Mary, my granddaughter, she's the personal news that I want to tell you about. I didn't know about this, or I'd have been there, but she played a game either Monday or Tuesday night. I can't remember which. And she scored her 1,000th point as a basketball player. So she hit the 1,000 in the very last game she'll probably ever play. Well, at high school anyway. And she hit exactly 1,000 points. She didn't hit 1,001. And her teammates, of course, helped her. She scored over 20 points in that game and just did a phenomenal job. They unfortunately still lost the game. They were up against a really tough team. But anyway, it was pretty cool to see granddaughter Mary hit that 1,000 point mark. So congratulations, Mary. I have a little short commute to work video for you this morning, so just take a look at this. Well, my friends, I've just filled up the wood furnace. I've been using these scraps that came off the sawmill, trying to get rid of them. Thought I'd just take you on a commute to work this morning. Going around this end of the, you can see how big this wall is that I built. These are bigger, heavier blocks. Each one of those blocks weighs about 90 pounds. Very big, heavy wall. And then this is what the wall used to look like all the way around to the end. And that's what I was telling you. No sooner than I got that wall done, it wasn't 2 weeks up and looking real fine. We had a 7-inch rain. This whole hillside slid down and came over the top of the rocks, covered the rocks up. This pole used to lean down the hill. You can see, well, actually this is a new pole, but truthfully, the old pole used to lean down the hill by about 6 or 8 feet. And after the mudslide, the pole was standing straight up and down. And this pole has been replaced mostly for the fiber optic. Anyway, so I could get fiber optic from that pole, by the way, but I'd have to have a different bill. And so I didn't want to have a second bill for fiber optic. And besides that, it's better to have it all on one network. Here's what the front yard looks like after, the regrading and stuff. It's still a little rough, gonna need some work, but ain't that big a deal with the equipment we have. There's the creek running under the house. It doesn't run all the time. This is not it's more like a wet weather spring that feeds this creek. It does run a good part of the year, but it's a low flow, It's not a big heavy duty creek or anything. There's the little bridge that we walk across. And by the way, just so you know, that hill used to come all the way down to the house. I dozed all the way around here and did this because I didn't like the fact that the hill came all the way to the house and the water would run down the hill and run up against the house. It was ridiculous the way it was built. So I put all this in and made this road in here where you could drive around the house. I thought that was a much better setup, and we enjoy it that way because you can, pull all the way around the house now. Plus, you can't get a big truck under that drive-through there, where now we still have trouble with real big trucks, but you can get a taller truck around that end of the house. I'm dropping everything I'm trying to carry with my left hand and running into some significant pain in my left hand. So I think I'm going to conclude our little commute to work right here. Yeah, I was carrying this thing full with one hand and something else, and I might as well tell you about that because I was going to tell you about the new stuff, and that is this thing. I had this in my left hand also, so I had that cup and this both in one hand, and it was getting heavy. This thing's pretty heavy on its own, and the cup full of water was pretty heavy. So, or it's not water, but it's Arnold Palmer, half tea and half lemonade. And anyway, this is another storage device that I just bought. This one is 22 terabytes. And you'd think, well, that ought to be plenty. Well, yeah, it'll be plenty for a little while. Video takes up a lot of space. People have no idea how much space video takes up. I've got several of those, not that big. I've got them in the 10 and 12 terabyte range. And then I've also got hard drives inside of several computers that are full. I mean, it's like, yeah, you just never, ever have enough space. Never. That's the biggest problem with doing this type of thing. And backups. Who's got room for backups? It's all you can do just to find a place to store it once, let alone store it twice. Oh my gosh. Anyway. So that's one of the new things I got. Another thing is that I ordered the big brother of this. This is the audio interface that wonderful viewer sent to me. And I ordered the Big Brother so I'd have a little bit more inputs. Plus the Big Brother, it's called an ID24. This is an ID4. The ID24 has more inputs for microphones, but it also, the main thing is that it has an ADAT port, which is an optical port where I can connect up additional microphones down the road and use this as my recording system. So whether I do it here or I'll probably put the actual recording part of it up in the man cave because it's quiet in there. That man cave, if you don't understand, is a log cabin unto itself, and the house was built around the log cabin. So in effect, it's a silent room because it's inside of the rest of the house, and it's thick logs on top of that. So it's a really good room for recording. So anyway, that's probably where we'll set up the recording, and I do want to get back to recording, like I don't have anything to do, you know. But anyway, I do want to get back to it eventually. It's not a rush, by the way, so it's not going to happen overnight. I had to order 2 new front tires for my Polaris Ranger also. One of them started leaking a little bit yesterday, and then it got worse and worse and worse and worse, and finally I noticed there was a crack, like they have nubs on the tires. Well, right at the base of one of the nubs, the tire had cracked. And they're not that terribly old. They're pretty wore out anyway, though, so it's time to replace them anyway. They're 3 or 4 years old. And you would think they'd last longer than that, or at least I would think so, because, it's just used here on the farm for putting back and forth, and we're not out road racing with it or anything. So... but they don't last very long, unfortunately. That's probably the 4th set I'll be putting on this thing. And I'm only replacing the front ones right now. The back ones still look like they're okay for a while, but they'll be shortly following, I'm positive. Okay, the main title is I Found Something Significant, and I did. It's significant to me. It may not be anything to you, but it's real significant to me. What did I find? I found that. And what is that? Well, that's another Civil War bullet. Look how white it is. That should be lead color, just so you understand. It's a piece of lead. It should be lead color, but you can see the patina that it takes on after, 160 years lying buried in the ground. It turns white. Lead oxide, I guess. You can see that it is a 3-ringer bullet here. If the camera, I just dropped it on the keyboard. Did anything change? Terrible. But anyway, you can see the 3 rings there, I think. And that's what they call a 3-ringer. This one is a 58 caliber, and it weighs, just so you know, it just for comparison's sake, it's 32 grams and 1.2 ounces. So it's a big chunk of lead. 1.2 ounces hits you in the leg. Yeah, your leg's coming off. They're not going to try to fix it. It's coming off. Well, and you think that's big. Well, here comes the next one. Now, that's the only one I just found. I found this yesterday, found it right out in the field, right out in front of the shop here. I'm going to show you the rest of my finds on my Civil War stuff just for comparison. This is the big boy. This is a 69 caliber. This one weighs 1.5 ounces. This is 1.5 ounces. 69 caliber, heavy duty bullet right here. Another 3-ringer. Those are not the same. So they're different calibers. Were shot out of different guns. So just so you understand, this is, in my opinion, this is not some, local guy bringing his Civil War gun home. And you'll see that as we go through this, because they're all, well, not all different, but a lot of them are different. And so this is a big boy here. This is for sure the one that's going to take your leg off right here. You won't have nothing left. Then the next bullet I have here is a chewed bullet. It's also a 3-ringer, but this one's a 58 caliber. No, I take it back. Yeah, that's right. It's a 58 caliber, and this one only weighs 1.1 ounces for whatever reason. Possibly just because some of it's missing, maybe. I don't know. Because the other one was 1.2 ounces. Then here's yet a different kind of 3-ringer, and this one is only 52 caliber. So, you might say, well, that's the same as those others. No, this is a 52 caliber. It's six caliber smaller. than the other ones. So this is not shot out of the same gun. And here's another one that I think is 58 caliber. This is another 3-ringer. It's all smashed, as you can see. It hit something pretty hard. The reason I'm guessing on this one is because it only weighs 1.1 ounces, which is, a 0.1 ounce smaller than the other one that's similar to this. In other words, the new one I just found and this one, I think, are the same bullet. I think these are the exact same, but I don't know that for sure. It's a guess. And then I found this flattened out one. Now, I think they flattened this out for a purpose. I don't know why, but you can tell it's a 3-ringer at the top up there. And this one, you can see a little bit of the lead coming through, probably because I hit it with a shovel or something. But some of the whites wore off of this one. And then finally, here's a different one altogether. You can see this is a single ring around here, and it's a solid back end, where the other ones have hollow back ends. So this one is a 52 caliber. So, I mean, there's a lot of different calibers going on, and, it's something happened here Civil War-wise. The more I find, the more it proves that to me. Something happened. I don't know if it was, I doubt it was a battle. It may have just been they were camped here and shooting at deer out in the field. I don't know what they were doing. I thought I'd go ahead, since I've gone that far, show you the rest of the other 4 pieces. So I've found exactly 12 pieces of Civil War memorabilia now. I'm calling this Civil War, though I can't necessarily prove this, but when I look it up, it looks just like the stuff I see online. There's no markings on this to prove anything. This is a little tin for holding primers for... they're not flintlocks. They're called muzzle loaders, and they inline muzzle loaders, and they shoot they shoot these bullets that you've just been seeing, but they put a primer cap on the little nipple versus a flintlock, which strikes with a hammer and this still strikes with a hammer, but it's complicated. But these are primers, little metal primers that you stick on this nipple, and then the hammer hits that and causes it to, it's kind of like a cap, like on a modern day cap gun. It's just like that. That's what these primers are. And this canister held those primers, is what I'm saying. They weren't using many flintlocks in the Civil War. They were mostly using primer-based cartridges type things. I'm no Civil War historian, so don't eat me alive. But I'm sure they used some flintlocks too, but for the most part, they were using that. This is a Civil War cavalry spur piece. I've looked it up. It looks exactly like the Civil War pieces that I see online. This is just the part where one strap would go under the boot heel and the other strap would go over the top of the boot, and then this went around the back of the boot around here, and then the spur came off of the back of that. So this is just a piece of it, obviously, but proves it to me. Here's a Civil War General Service button. There's an eagle on that button. I got it upside down, but I think you can see the eagle there. And then I found 2 Fitch Van Vecht rimfire cartridges here. Now, I don't know which bullet these went to, but I'm going to assume bullets something like that. I don't know that for sure, though. But anyway, these are, obviously Civil War. These were, because I can identify these, and they've got a writing on them, and you can see that they were rim fire. The little rim there has been dented right there where my finger is. You can see the dent. And that's as opposed to later on, they were center fire cartridges. But during the Civil War, they were rim fire because they were shooting black powder. But anyway, that's the stuff I found. To me, it's significant. I think it's important. It's part of history, and I like history, and it's really cool to be able to tie the farm into the Civil War somehow. I do not know how it's tied in yet. If I ever figure that out, I'll sure let you know, of course. Let's see. Moving on down. This don't cost you any extra, but I'm working on 3 songs for our next live show, which will be next Thursday night. not tonight, but next week, Thursday night. I'm working on 4 in the morning, Hello Walls, and Things in Life. I haven't even tried Things in Life yet. I've only listened to it once, so I don't even really know how the melody goes on that. I'll have to figure that one all out yet. The other two are pretty complicated in terms of the vocal part of it. I mean, it's the phrasing and the timing of the vocals and things to get the words out, It's pretty hard to do on some of those tunes. But it's just like anything, once you know it, you know it. And I'm learning it at the moment. My plans for today, are basically the same as yesterday. I still have to finish the video, although I did get through the second draft of it. I did pretty much get it rendered and everything, so it's ready for upload. And, this was a new experience rendering it up. I rendered it up in the man cave, but I rendered it while it was existing on this PC down here, and it worked. It was a little slow, but so I'm going to have to think about all that and see how I'm going to do that. But I'll get that uploaded yet today, and maybe I'll turn that loose tonight, or maybe I'll just wait till tomorrow for Friday and turn it loose on Friday. I'm not sure. Which would you prefer? Let's see. I did cut a little bit of firewood, and you kind of saw it in the little video clip there, some of that firewood. I just basically we have what we call the dump. It's really not a dump. It's just kind of a storage location for recycling things. And in this case, I put a bunch of that wood back there, slabs from the sawmill, and I'm cutting that up now and throwing it in the wood furnace. Since the temperatures have dropped, have warmed up, I can just get by with throwing stuff like that in there right now. And might as well get rid of that stuff. Let's see. I still need to work on the auction software. I still need to get caught up in the office. If you have sent me a video regarding that fiddle, don't worry, I'll get to it. I haven't looked at them yet, but I'll just remind you about that. If you know a youngster that would like to own this fiddle, it's free. We will ship it to you. We'll ship it to you free in the lower 48 states. Beyond that, you're going to have to pay for the shipping, or at least we might pay a portion of it or something. But anyway, you're going to have to pay the brunt of the shipping if it goes outside the 48 states. It comes with a little case. You can see the case back there, and it has a little bow. The bow is not much, and the case is just adequate. It's not a great case or anything, but it's adequate. And anyway, the fiddle itself is pretty decent, not too bad. Probably needs new strings more, and it needs a new bridge. And if somebody wants me to do that work, well, we can do that. I can't give away the strings. The strings are pretty expensive for these violins, but anyway, we'll do something. It's up in good playable condition though. It'd be a great violin to learn on if somebody wanted to learn violin. But like I said, the way you win that is to have the child appear on video and say why they want the fiddle, and just talk for a minute or so about what they're going to plan to do with music, and whatever comes to mind, I guess. And I'll choose one of those children to win it, and we'll ship it to them. So there you go. Let's see. I need to get, caught up on all that office paperwork and stuff and emails, and I don't even know if I'll get to that today yet either, because I also want to get outside and saw some more cedar. And if I don't get any big interruptions, that's probably what I'm going to do, is get out there and get the sawmill going and get some things. And I'm real anxious to see if one of my newly sharpened blades works real well. And so that's another thing I want to do, is test that out. I think that's everything I was going to cover this morning. So let's go to the comments here, and John Pepper is first. He beat out Rod. Rod's second. Rod, you're slipping, buddy. Chuck Heidbreder was third in this case, and Dave Hunt and Dottie Hildebrandt and Norman Wittenbach. Let's see if there's any question marks. Number of folks saying hi and all that. Looks like Lester has the first question marks. Jerry, I'm better. Got good report from the doctor. Got staples out. Go back next week. Thanks for all the prayers and support. Well, glad to hear it, Lester. I'm glad. I know that can knock you down. Man, I've been very fortunate to avoid appendix issues. Dottie Hillebrand, I won't be with you all on Monday. Time for a fill up on iron infusion. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, good luck with that. Let's see, moving on down through here. Okay, Brian Byler, he says, hey, Jerry, I work with that old dairy farmer. Well, okay, that's cool. Was that something I missed? I don't know, but very cool. I never worked on a dairy farm. In fact, I've never actually ever milked a cow, which is kind of unusual for somebody, that's been around farm animals and horses and things. And we even had a cow or two at one time, but I was pretty little when we had them, so probably wasn't big enough to do anything with them then. Moving on down, Dottie says, hit the like button. If you do that, that would be nice. I'd appreciate it. And after we went live, Michael 2X says, hey, Rosa Meister. And then there's Bill Webb and Bill Rhodes and Carolyn Fike. Michael 2X says, awesome song. Well, thank you. Dottie Hildebrandt, mighty fine. Well, thanks. And Bill Webb, Lester says, it's enjoyable to hear you play. Well, thank you. And Jeff Puris gave me a bunch of clap hands, and so did Carolyn. Bill Webb says, congratulations, Mary Rosa. Well, I agree with that. And Gary Hayden says, congrats to Mary. And Gary Hayden says, how thick was your footer on your wall? Well, are you talking about that wall that as it exists now? It's not much of a footer. I mean, it's about a foot down, and it's packed gravel. I put it up in 2013, and it doesn't appear to have moved at all. So as far as I can tell, it's adequate. And I think that's all they recommend that you have on a wall like that, is just a packed gravel type footing. And that's what I have. It seems to be just fine. Now, if you're talking about the footer before the collapse, where the hills slid down, there really wasn't much of a footing at all. It was just big boulders piled up there, and that's the way the whole front of the wall is, and it hasn't moved. Had it not been for the 7-inch rain, the boulders would still be there, I am positive. But, yeah, when you get a 7-inch rain, and the ground had been disturbed to some degree, and that probably added to it also, because I had been up there on top of the ground with the Bobcat also, moving things around and doing backfill and stuff. So that probably added to it as well. But anyway, the whole hill came down, and then it covered up all those boulders, and that just made a gigantic mess. That turned a big job that I had already done into a monster job. You just don't know. And it took a long time to get that cleaned up, and then it took a long time to build the new wall. Just one of them deals. Dottie Hildebrandt, congratulations to Mary. Yep, that's really cool that she did that. Leo is saying good morning from Quebec. Gary Hayden, beautiful mandolin. How would you grade the tone and volume? How long is the nut? How long is the nut? You mean the width here across? I don't know really without checking it how wide it is, but it's pretty much your standard. It's not very different. I don't know. It's hard to say. It's just a little over an inch wide. It's the actual ebony is just about 1 inch. So the nut itself is a little bit bigger than that. It's about 1 inch and 1.1 inches. tone and everything on it's really nice. It's really nice. It's got a little bit of a setup issue. Back then probably wasn't as good a setup as I am now, and it's the way this nut is filed, and I'll fix it. But I can tell it's buzzing within the nut a little bit on the A strings, just a little bit. It's not real bad, but it is. I can tell that it is doing that a little bit. And so I'm going to fix that before it goes up for auction also. So I'll set it up really good and everything before the actual auction occurs. But I really like it. It's a good mandolin. I seriously tell you, I was leery about it coming here. I was thinking, I'm not too sure that's going to be, a good mandolin. Because it was one of the early ones. But it was before I took the Lloyd Loar apart. But man, it sounds pretty darn good. I think if it was played, it'd be a really, really good mandolin. I think whoever would get it would be pretty darn tickled with it. All right, moving on. Dottie Hildebrand, what did they use to shoot that bullet? A buffalo gun? Yeah, especially this great big one here, this 69 caliber. You can stick your finger down the barrel. I mean, that's a big gun there. And man, that's 1.5 ounces of lead coming at you. Whew, at about probably 1,600 feet per second, roughly. And that's just an approximation. Could be more, could be less, but it's going to do some damage if that hits you. Oh man, it's just horrible, really. When you think about it, those poor guys went through. Man, it was something else. Percussion cap, yep, that's the right word, Ronald Todd. And I have a modern inline muzzle loader that still uses percussion caps to this day. I just can't always think of words. That's my problem. I know the words, I just can't think of them. Carolyn Fike, don't they call those muzzle loaders cap locks? Yeah, you could call it that, a cap lock. Yeah, you're right. It's not, I don't hear that very often, but yeah. Cap and ball, sometimes they call it that too, I think. But anyway. It's just, the modern term is an inline muzzleloader. That's really what the modern term is, but everybody's got a different thing. Bill Mumbo, Jerry, do you wash your hands well after handling the lead bullets? I used to wash my hands when beach fishing, lead weights and things. I'm not overly concerned about it, to be honest with you. No, I don't do that. I don't feel that that's much of a concern, honestly. You don't want to ingest it for sure. And of course, you could say, well, you could ingest it off your fingers, but it's pretty unlikely. Plus, I don't know. I'm just going to leave it at that. I mean, everybody's got their thing, but I'm not too concerned about stuff like that. Carabman 9999, is beeswax good for cleaning a medium dirty classic guitar? Well, when you say beeswax itself, I would say no, not for cleaning. For cleaning, I mean, there's so many options here on cleaning. It's kind of like opening up a giant Pandora's box when you talk about cleaning. I mean, some cleaning you do with just a damp cloth and just wipe the dirt off, Other cleaning I do is maybe do that first and then wipe it down with boiled linseed oil. And the boiled linseed oil itself will do some cleaning. You'd be surprised. But as far as just wax by itself, I don't think I would call that cleaning. But this stuff here, this Be Good oil, which contains beeswax, I'm sure this would do some amount of cleaning by rubbing it on, you know what I mean? But if you're talking just straight beeswax, no, I don't see how that could be much of a cleaning thing. So maybe I'm just missing the point, or like I said, a lot of times these questions that I don't think them through and they're just going over my head. Moving on down, let's see. Bill Webb says cap locks also there. Carabman9999 says, or is beeswax poison for the finish? It's a handmade Spanish guitar. No, it's not poison. It's okay. It'd be okay for your finish. For my money, if now that you've gone that far with what you said, I would use the Renaissance wax and coat it with Renaissance wax. Renaissance wax is good stuff. It's really good stuff. It's used worldwide for all kinds of high-grade stuff. I mean, like they even coat priceless oil paintings with it. It's very good stuff. It's got a very good reputation. So if I were going to, polish your guitar, I would probably use Renaissance wax. You can get it off of eBay or Amazon. I did have a link to it on my things that I use page, but that's all dead and gone now. I just gave up on it for now. I'm going to try to rebuild that too when I find time, but it ain't going to happen anytime soon either. Preston Johnson, Jerry, is the song you played original? Yes. Sounds a lot like Marty Robbins. Yeah, guess why it does that? Marty Robbins was one of my all-time favorites growing up, and I started right now when I was 18, and my brother was 10 playing a piano out on my mom and dad's back porch, and I was playing my 3 chords that I know how to play on a guitar at that time, and I could barely do that, really. And but my brother was a musical genius, and he's playing the song as I'm writing it. And then I completely forgot about it because I didn't really get serious about music. I only wrote the first verse and chorus, and I completely forgot about it. Well, then 10 years later, now I'm 28, and I'm getting serious about playing bluegrass music. And every time I would sit down to play music, that song would come in my head, and I looked for the rest of the song. I thought it was a Marty Robbins tune. I had forgotten that I was the one that wrote it. I completely forgot that. And I kept thinking, that's got to be a Marty Robbins number. And I couldn't remember the rest of the song and, all this stuff. And I looked for it for 20 years. I'm 48. I'm still looking for that song. And finally I said to my brother, Scott, Scott, I've been looking for this song since I started playing music when I was 28. And I haven't found it yet. Do you know anything about this song? And I played it for him, and he goes, well, yeah, you big blankety blank, 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 blank. He says, I know all about it. What do you mean? Where did it come from? He goes, well, you big idiot, you wrote it. So I sat down right then and finished the rest of the song and wrote the last verse there. And but anyway, yeah, Marty Robbins was my hero. In terms of singing, he was my favorite singer. In terms of overall performer, singer, songwriter, everything, Merle Haggard's got it hands down. Hands down. Yeah. But anyway, let's see, moving on down. Michael 2X, will you play Brother John on the show, please? Well, yeah, I did that not too long ago, but we'll do it again. It's really one of my very favorite tunes to play is Brother John. I do it in A minor, and you would not believe how complicated it is to look at that screen and try to line things up. It is absolutely backwards. It's not like you think it is. It's not like looking in a mirror. It just isn't. It's completely backwards. It's weird. Okay, so this has got A minor, F, C, E, A minor, F, C, E, A minor, F, C, C, E, E, A minor. That's one time through the verse or whatever you want to call it. And then when it goes to, and all the verses are pretty much like that. But then when it goes to the chorus, it jumps up to D, dog. Then F, then C, and then I think it's D again. no, it might have been E. I don't remember that part. But anyway, it goes to D, then F, C, and it's very similar to the rest of the song at that point. But the chorus goes right to D, so just know that. Anyway, here we go. Brother John is a poor, hard-working man. His life was hard, but he does the best he can. He prays to God just to thank him for his bread and the roof over his head. Brother John, he lost his wife when the fever came around. A gentle girl, oh, he laid her in the ground. She was his life, and her dying hit him hard till he heard the voice of God. Brother John, trouble on earth is ending. All your sorrow soon will be gone. You were a good man, you did all you could, and they're calling you home now, Brother John. Well, actually, I would normally, my break, I normally go back into the chorus, but now I'm going to go back to the verse. Sorry. I got mixed up there. Late one day, he was working in the field. The sun was low, and the earth was cool and still. He heard his wife calling, come join me now. And he fell beside the plow. Brother John, trouble on earth is ending. All your sorrow soon will be gone. You were a good man, you did all you could, and they're calling you home now, Brother John. It ends on a A, not an A minor. That's what's weird about it. It should have been, I didn't do that perfectly. It should have went A and then A minor and then A at the very end. And it ends on an A, which is kind of weird. I don't know why they did that. You know how seldom seen was? They had to mess with everything. It's a simple song, but it's complicated as heck. It's one of those jam busters for sure. You don't play those in jams and expect people to follow you because it just never happens. Paul Akers, what else do you use your chainsaw sharpener for? I use mine to sharpen multiple different blades. Well, I only use my chainsaw sharpener to sharpen chainsaws and the sawmill right now, although I did experiment with sharpening blades for my table saw. But I don't even bother with the table saw blades anymore, and the reason is, and I've showed this before, and I took a video of this the other day, and I can't find the darn video. I was going to do a little short thing in here. Maybe I'll just do it again rather than show you right now. But I found these cheap blades that I am in love with for my table saw. I mean, they only cost like $12, and they last forever. They're carbide, and they're thin kerf. And I bought 4 of them. I'm still on the first one, and I've been using it for several years. I mean, they're just killer blades. So I don't know how you can beat it. People get all, I don't know, uppity about stuff. Like saw blades is an example. If you're a table saw aficionado, then you can't use this $12 blade. You've got to spend $190 and buy this other blade. Well, I'm telling you right now, this $12 blade will just knock your socks off if you can open up your mind and try it. I mean, it's because people get all huffy about stuff like that. They just do. And it's like, there's no way. You can't use that piece of junk on your... I'm telling you, it works great. It cuts slick as snot, man. I mean, it's smooth. It's just perfect cuts. I see the thing I use my table saw more for. I don't do that much cross cutting. I do mostly ripping with the table saw. So that's 3 or 4 years of ripping. And with the sawmill, I do a lot of ripping because I'm ripping off those rough edges. And that one blade's held up all this time. So you go ahead and use your $190 saw blade if you want to, and I'll show you which blade to get. I'll try to do a video on that and maybe show that tomorrow in tomorrow's vlog. Because I did a video on it and I just can't find it. I don't know what I did with it. Anyway, you didn't expect that when you asked that question, did you, Paul? Anyway, Chipwood, are you finding your Civil War relics in one area of the farm or scattered? It's kind of scattered. Actually, I've spent more time in field 1 and field 5. Like if you go back through here, these are pretty good sized fields. Each one of them's 4, 5, 6 acres, maybe bigger than that. So this first field, here's what we call our hay field. Then there's the pasture field. Then there's the second pasture field. Then there's another pseudo hay field. It's mostly weeds. And then there's yet another pseudo kind of hay field, but we used to call it the cornfield. And then there's yet another field. And so the farthest field back, I found bullets. The next field back, I found bullets. And then up on this front field, I found bullets. Now those other miscellaneous fields in between, I've spent time looking, and I think maybe I found one bullet in all of those fields. But anyway, I found them up here in the front, and I found them back there toward the back. So I found most of them toward the back. But now I think this is the third one I found up here in this front field. So it's probably throughout, it's probably all the way up and down the valley, more than likely. But it's, just getting time to search it all out. By the way, just so you know, I didn't spend much time looking yesterday. It was like 4:30 and I'd already cut my firewood, and I went over to see if JR needed some more help on his little project, and he was leaving, so I didn't have to help him. So I thought, well, what the heck, I'll just go out and metal detect for a little while, because you just need a break once in a while. And so I just went out there and did that, and I found a bunch of trash. I probably dug up 6 or 7 things, and most of it was trash. And then I hit that little sucker, and I went, yes, this is what I'm looking for. I'm tickled to find it. I know you probably don't think much of this kind of stuff, but to me, this is cool. Finding something that is Civil War. See, it's not just me saying that. I've had Civil War quote-unquote experts looking at this stuff, and they go, absolutely 100% Civil War. There's no doubt about it. That's what they said. So, and the fact that, I found lots of other lead bullets out there. I find them all the time. There's lead bullets left and right. I found 10 times more regular lead bullets than I found these. 10 times. And they look like lead bullets. They don't turn white like that. So there you go. There's that. Let's see. Moving on down. I'm going to try to get through this because we got a lot to go, it looks like. Well, it scrolled up a lot. Boy, there's more than I thought even. Okay, so I did the Brother John thing, Paul Akers thing. Chip Woods, are you finding Civil War? Yeah, okay, did that one. Carbman, $9.99. Also, I have a Fender electric acoustic in Japanese Kawa 12-string clean. What do you recommend? Well, for cleaning, for me, for the most part, I just use a damp towel and try to do it with water if I can. The least damaging thing is the thing to do. But then when you go back, like if it's got a good finish, then that's what I would recommend. And if you need to use a light detergent like some dish soap or something, a little bit, that's going to be fine. But then dry it off good. And then for my 2 cents, it's Renaissance wax every time. Renaissance wax. It's just good stuff. It's a paste wax. Because you're asking this, you probably haven't heard my spiel, so I'm going to say this because I know there's a lot of new people. Do not ever, and this is me talking, you do what you want, but I'm saying do not ever use liquid polishes on your instruments. Not ever. I'm talking the ones that they sell at the music store. Don't use those. Don't use the Pledge. Don't use any kind of spray liquid type stuff. Don't do it, period. Don't do it. And you might say, well, why not? It's been working for 20 years. I've been doing that. Well, fine. Just keep doing it if you want to. But at least don't, if you want to use it, that's fine. I'm still okay with it. Don't get it on your plastic. Don't get it on your plastic pick guard. It's going to shrink your plastic pick guard eventually. It may not do it today, might not do it tomorrow, but it will shrink your plastic pick guard eventually. And in my opinion, I don't even put the Renaissance wax on the pick guard. So, even though I don't think it will hurt it, but I still don't put that on there either. So you understand that Renaissance wax is a paste wax. So when you put paste waxes on, and by the way, Renaissance wax is the one I recommend, but you could use, like Minwax furniture paste wax. That's perfectly fine too. Way harder to get off though. So whenever you're using any paste wax, put it on in very small areas and take it back off immediately. Do not wait 2 minutes, 1 minute, 30 seconds. Put it on, take it right back off. I mean, like immediately. And it'll come off much easier. It'll leave a real nice shine. It'll, a protecting coat, and it actually crisps up the finish. So it's a good thing to do. Paste waxes are good. But do not use liquid polishes. I'm telling you, just don't do it. You do what you want. It's your business. It's your guitar, but don't use liquid polishes. I'm being official here. I've said it. You do what you want. When will there be more metal detecting videos? Well, whenever this guy finds some time to do some. That's the truth, man. I tell you, the sad thing is I feel guilty all the time because I'm just not doing all these things, and there's so much to do. I just can't keep up. Brian Byler, hey, Jerry, that old dairy farmer is one of your subscribers, Wayne Biltz, Biltz? Okay, well, cool. I've seen that name, but I don't know, you know me and names. I'm not good with names. But I have seen Wayne Bilt's name. Cool. Ramrod, Fishing Outdoors, good morning from Middleburg, Florida. How are you doing this morning? Well, I'm doing okay right now. For the shape I'm in good shape. Bill Webb says he recommends warm soapy water. Yeah, just a warm water. But again, I keep your thing wringed out. Don't slop it with water. You know what I'm saying? Just kind of a damp cloth. And I recommend just water first. And if you can't get it off and clean with water, well then go ahead and use some soapy water, and that's fine. It's not going to hurt anything. But then just get it good and dry. And then put a good paste wax on it. That's the way I would do it. Chipwood, are the instruments going to have a reserve on them? Yeah, Chip, I think so. I got to protect the lady. I mean, like I told you, she's got health issues. Her husband and I were good friends, so I'm trying to do the best I can for her. Anyway, so we're going to do what we can to do the best we can to get the best money out of the instruments. They're not going to be bargain prices, I don't think, unfortunately. So that's just the way it is. Bill Webb, they use muskets, smoothbore, no rifling, quicker to reload with paper patch, not as accurate, but devastating. Yeah, you're right on that. I know that they did use some smooth bores. I do think they probably had some rifled barrels too, especially for the sharpshooters. They had some sharpshooters, but I don't know. I'm no absolute Civil War historian. I've read a lot of things about the Civil War over the years, but what I've read also goes in one ear and out the other with me. I don't retain stuff like that very well. Ronald Todd, carnauba wax is the hardest wax. Yeah, carnauba wax would be okay too. Pretty much any paste wax would be okay. The less chemicals it has in it, the better. But also be sure to take it off as quick as you can get it off. That's the trick to it, because it will mess up your whole day if you don't get it off of there. And it don't rub off easy. But if you take it right back off, as soon as you put it on, it's not that big a deal. And, just use a good polishing cloth to take it off. Now, me personally, I really think one of the best polishing cloths are these blue towels. I love them. I use them all the time. And I'm not talking about the quilted ones. These are just the smooth shop polishing towels. I like them. I think they're great for polishing. In fact, I think they're one of the best things you can use for buffing and all that. They work great. Michael says, thank you, Rosenmeister. Well, thanks for the request. Gary Hayden, Marty Robbins, there's a reason they call him Old Golden Throat. Yes, I always called him the Elvis of country music. That's what I called him. Dottie Hildebrand, Jerry, have you ever met or worked with the Malpass brothers? No, but they had my Uncle Don's mandolin for a while. The guy that was driving their tour bus bought it, believe it or not. The guy that was driving their bus bought the mandolin and was letting the Malpass brothers use it. I don't know the whole relationship there, but that's the story. And anyway, pretty cool. They used to open for Merle Haggard. Well, that's cool. I opened for Merle Haggard too, one time. Hello, Jerry. I just received your CD in the mail yesterday. Oh my gosh. Despite the headache with the international shipping label. Yeah, it never goes fast overseas. So by the way, if I ever ship anything to anybody internationally, I generally ship it just your normal snail mail because of the cost, and it takes forever. So just know that it's not going to be there in 1 week or 6 days. You're probably talking 4 to 6 weeks for most of it. Zappa. Jerry, I just noticed in that song, the new mic is a real improvement in your sound. Well, thank you. Good. I'm happy with this mic. I haven't learned it all yet, and really haven't spent any time with it other than what you see right here. This is the time I've spent. That's it. I'm not out there testing it, checking it. I don't have time for that. I just listened back to the broadcast myself and then see what it sounds like and then try to make my minor adjustments from there is what I'm trying to do. Jeff Purish, using the wax on, wax off, small area at a time. It's a bit difficult to use, but it's the best. Yep, I agree. Brother John's ending goes from A minor. Well, the way they did it on the album, they hit an A minor, then let me back up again. They hit a quick A, then they hit A minor, and then they went back to A on the very ending. At least that's how we do it, and and it sounds really cool, and I'm pretty sure that's what they did too. Ronald Todd, although I haven't listened to it in a long time, so I may have it all confused. Ronald Todd, I use carnauba wax on all my wood turnings unless there's for food, then I use beeswax, which is food safe. Yeah, and supposedly this stuff's food safe. That's what I understand. You can put it on salad bowls and things like that. Carolyn Fike, early music, we call that a major chord Picardy ending instead of minor. Well, there you go. See, I know nothing about music, so don't clutter my mind with facts I don't need to know. I don't want to spoil my reputation of knowing nothing. Anyway. Theron Corbett, 1861 Springfield 58 caliber, 1853 Enfield 57 caliber, and the Spencer carbine 56 caliber were the most common. Yeah, and there were more than that though. They had 52s. They had a whole bunch of them. When you start looking it up, all you got to do is search on 52 caliber Civil War, and you'll find them. Everything's out there. It's just amazing. They had a bunch of them. But you're right. I mean, like the 58 calibers were real common. That's one of their main things. Caraman 999, sorry for the fat finger last post. From AM to A to sound the happy heaven. Yeah, that's kind of the way I remember it. They ended on the A. I know that. I didn't do it very well in my thing just now, but what I think we do is we hit the A first, then we hit an A minor, which is the norm for that song, and then we end on the A. And it has a good sound when you do it that way. Well, anyway, that's what we do. Jeff Purist, do you think there may have been an action during the Indian Wars in the valley since there are artifacts there too? Well, I don't know. I'm not sure what you mean by that, actually. Most everything I found here seems to relate directly to the Civil War. That's what it looks like to me, but it could be something else. David Seal. Hey, Jerry, here's a quick tip for you. If you take the foam pop filter off that, your voice will be louder and sound less muffled. Just saying. Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I didn't know if it would, if I'd be popping a lot of peas and stuff. I don't know how to get this one off. I haven't taken it off, I don't think. I know I've got the big thick one for it here. See, this is the thin one. There's a big thick one for it also. And I know this one knocks it way down. So I didn't even bother. I don't know if it'll come off or not without. I don't know how to get it off, honestly. I probably have to get some tool or something, get in there and pop it off. Doesn't want to come loose, I can tell you that. I don't know. Now that you say that, I'm just curious to see what it sounds like because I could listen to it myself. There it is. There it is. We'll try it and see I'll just finish up the vlog with that and see how it sounds, and then that way I'll get to hear it myself. Moving on down. Boy, I got to get through these. Let's see. Okay, that was David CLC. Caravan 9999. The stupid smart autocorrect did it again. AM chord to A major for the mood to be happy as the morning. Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. What is the name of that 12 table saw you mentioned? I'll tell you tomorrow. I don't remember. It's Oldham, I think. I'm seriously telling you, it's a great saw blade. Ron is an example. He was pretty skeptical about it. He thought, he uses the high dollar saw blades and stuff. And I'm not picking on Ron. There's lots of people that do that. And my opinion is, fine. If that's the best saw blade, I'll spend the money. But when I found this $12 blade, I went back and bought 3 or 4 more of them, and I'm still on the first one. So, and that's after several years of ripping and doing nothing but rip cuts. So there you go. Do what you want. Spend your money if you want. I'm not opposed to spending the money. If it's, I spend a lot of money just ordering this thing right here, I'm not opposed to spending the money. That's not it. I'm not a cheapskate or anything like that. It's just that if something else works, then why spend the money? That's my point. So there you go. What is the name? Okay, that was that. I'll tell you about that tomorrow in tomorrow's vlog. I think it is Oldham, though. Oldham, I think. Joseph Supley. And then, by the way, they were less than $12 the first time I bought them. I think they were 8 something. I mean, serious. Anyway, they're around $12. But you know how everything's gone up over the last few years, so they could be $20 now for all I know. Joseph Supley, good morning to you, Jerry, and fans. I was curious, do you cash rent your fields? Also, I was woken by a loud clap of thunder. Do we cash rent our fields? We're not renting anything at this time, if that's what you're asking. There have been a few horses pastured here that we're paying rent, but that's been about it. I did lease a couple years in a row. I leased out the hunting rights, which I don't want to do that anymore because I prefer to have the freedom of using the farm myself. Chipwood says, I understand the need to have a reserve. Well, thank you. It just is what it is, I don't want to give them away, that's for sure. Forrest Strubble, hey, just curious what your favorite bluegrass events to attend would be. Well, I don't attend very many. That's the sad truth of it. I never have. I like to go to, I like to jam. That's what I like to do. So like even when I went to festivals, I hardly ever, and I mean like I'm seriously telling you, I hardly ever sat down and watched the stage show. Might watch one group play one set, and that's about it. And I'm not kidding. That's the way I went to jam. That's why I go to them. I just have fun doing that. So I really don't have one that I could I could answer on that, to be honest. Now that I've lost that. Don't know where that went. I think there was one maybe I missed here. David Seal, he didn't have any question marks, so I went over it. I think it says, have you ever used a pulse induction metal detector on your property? They ignore iron and small white gold. No, I never have. I've just got the Mind Labs Equinox 800 is what I have right now. I had a Fisher before that. I had a White's before that. And all of them were good. I found good stuff with all of them, but this Mind Labs 800 is pretty darn good. It's definitely not the best. You can definitely do better. In fact, they came out with the Manicore right after I got this one. Now, the Manicore is quite a bit more money, but I kind of wish I had the Manicore now. But anyway, Joseph Supley, good morning to you, Jerry and fans. I was curious, do you... Oh, Cash, I did that one already. Sorry. In the Forrest was the one to ask about the bluegrass events. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Michael 2X, please tell Emery she is missed. Okay. In terms of the music, perhaps. I wish she would play, but I don't think it's going to happen very likely. Ben Boyd, Mike without the foam filter sounds great to me. Okay. Michael Ragusa, hi Jerry, play guitar all my life, never knew what a zero fret was. Thanks for the knowledge. Well, you're welcome. A zero fret is just a fret that takes the place of the nut. In other words, the nut just keeps the sideways motion from happening. It doesn't care about up and down in terms of action. The zero fret sets the action, is really what it amounts to. And that's why I said it by rights and by common sense and all things every guitar should have a zero fret. But I still don't like them. I think they look cheap. It's just, I don't know. I can't get past that part. So, but I don't really have anything against them. I mean, if you want to use a zero fret, feel free. I think it's just fine. It'll work perfectly. But the zero fret then becomes the spot where the zero fret is what would have been the inside edge of the nut. So if you ever want to change it to a nut, all you do is you saw right straight down through your zero fret and slide your nut up to that spot, and you're good to go. All right, moving on. Paul Lanier, Ben Boyd is right for the mic sounding better. Okay, well, we'll leave it that way then. Yes, the music Rosermeister. Okay. I'm not sure what that comment means, but thanks. I don't know. Will it sound okay? I don't know if it'll, I'm just kind of testing. So when I listen back, I can kind of tell a little bit more about it. But anyway, guys, I'm going to let that be it. And we will get back with you tomorrow, and I'll be sure to cover those saw blades a little bit more in detail. I've covered them once before on the channel, but you know how that is. We get new people, and not everybody watches every video because there's thousands of them. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks.